ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيد الأولين والآخرين المبعوث معلما ومربيا ومزكيا لهذه النفس التي ألهمها خالقها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها وبعد. All praise and thanks are due to Allah the Almighty, the one who sent down the book unto his slave Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and has not placed therein any crookedness. And may the peace and blessings of Allah the Almighty be upon the seal of the messengers Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who was sent as a teacher of mankind, as a nurturer of mankind, and as the purifier of this soul that is inspired by its Lord with its good and its evil. Successful indeed is the one who purifies the soul, and failure indeed is the one who tainted his soul into proceed. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah the Almighty mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah saying, Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat, wa ashhurul hajji thalath, Shawwal wa dhul qa'ada wa dhul hijjah. فمن فرض فيهن الحج أي من ألزم نفسه أداء فريضة الحج بالنية قصدا باطنا وبالتلبية قولا مسموعا وبالإحرام فعلا ظاهرا فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج. Allah the Almighty mentioned saying that the months of Hajj are known months, and the months of Hajj are three: Shawwal and Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. Therefore, if you intend to perform Hajj, you can proceed from your home in the month of Shawwal. And if you're performing Hajj Tamattu', you can make your intention to make your Umrah and then get out of your Ihram and then wait until the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, and that is the day of Tarwiyah. Then you can proceed to Mina and then initiate your ritual consecration of Hajj to start your rituals of Hajj. Then Allah the Almighty said, whoever obligated on himself to perform Hajj in those months by having the intention in his heart and proclaiming it with his tongue by saying Allahumma labbaika hajjan and demonstrating it by wearing his ihram, then fala rafath, then he should not engage in flirtation. And the reason why Allah the Almighty said he should not engage in flirtation, because if you go to Hajj, it is a place where intermingling cannot be avoided. So Allah the Almighty is reminding us not to involve in flirtation with our tongue or with our action. Wala fusuqa, and we should not engage in fisk. And the word fisk means al-khuruj an ta'ah, that is to rebel from being obedient. But here the word fisk, as our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi mentioned, is that the word fisk here means to curse and to insult others. And the proof of that is a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sibabul Muslim fusuq wa qitaluhu kufr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said insulting the Muslim is a fisk, it's an act of what? Fisk. And fighting the Muslim is an act of kufr. So Allah the Almighty commanded us not to engage in insulting one another or cursing when we perform Hajj. And the reason being is also because when you go to Hajj, you will come across people from different background, people from different cultural background, people from different mindset, and people may get on your nerves, knowingly or unknowingly. They may do it purposefully or unpurposefully. Allah the Almighty is commanding us to suppress our anger and not to insult or curse. Wala jidala fil hajj. And he also said, and do not engage in argumentation, because sometimes you may be in a situation that you'll find yourself arguing without knowing. So Allah the Almighty is reminding us with all this. And I remember the year that I went for Hajj, I was in a taxi with our brother Dr. Ghazali, and this taxi driver, he overcharged us. He charged us a lot of money. So I was trying to admonish him not to do that, because we are guests in this country and we are performing Hajj. Therefore, be kind to us. So while I was trying to remind him, he got angry and he was yelling, and the conversation started to heat up. And I was also getting angry. So we started to argue. And our Dr. Ghazali said, no, don't argue. It is not worth arguing. Okay? If he If he oppress us, we will get our right on the day of judgment. Then I remember the ayah that says, وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ, and do not engage in what? In argumentation while you are in a ritual consecration of Hajj. Because it is easy for you to find yourself caught up in this. So if you go for Hajj, please bear in mind and remember these verses. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجِّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Because Allah the Almighty knows us more than we know ourselves. And He knows that we may end up stumbling and falling into these things. However, if you remember, come back and do what is right. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who put these things into practice. Ameen. Then Allah the Almighty said, وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ. وَهَذَا تَحْرِيضٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَحَثٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ على اختيار حسن الكلام مكان الفسق وعلى اختيار حسن الأخلاق والتقوى الله والبر مكان الفسوق والجدال. So here Allah the Almighty say, whatever good that you do, Allah the Almighty is aware of it. So He's encouraging us to choose the best words and the kind words when talking to people instead of being rude and impolite to them. And to choose to deal with the people with good character and moral conduct instead of dealing with them by arguing with them and cursing and insulting. And Allah the Almighty said, whoever suppresses his anger, whoever deals with the people with good character, Allah the Almighty is aware of these good deeds that He is doing, and He will reward him for that. Then Allah the Almighty said, وَتَزَوَّدُوا, and carry your provision along with you when you go for Hajj. Do not go for Hajj and become a parasite, depending on others in order to survive there. This is not right. Our noble scholar Imam al-Bukhari narrated that كان أهل اليمن يحجون ولا يتزودون ويقولون نحن متوكلون فإذا قدموا المكة سألوا الناس فأنزل الله قوله تعالى وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى. He mentioned that there were a group of people who come from Yemen, and they come from Yemen and they went to Hajj, they proceed to Hajj to perform Hajj. But then when they leave their homes, they don't carry provisions with them. And they claim by saying that we are mutawakkilun, we put our trust in Allah and we depend on Allah the Almighty. But then when they arrive at Mecca, what do? They go around begging people and asking people for food and for things that they need to survive there. Then Allah the Almighty revealed this verse saying, وَتَزَوَّدُوا, and carry your provisions along with you when you go for Hajj, and do not be a burden on others. Do not go there to survive on the sweat of others. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us among the true Muslims. Ameen. Then Allah the Almighty says, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. However, the best provision one can carry along with him is the fear of Allah the Almighty, because it is the provision of the hereafter, and it is the garment of fear. As He the Almighty said, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ, meaning the garment of the fear of Allah the Almighty is the best. That's what scholars said, وَإِنِ مُرُؤٌ لَبِسَ غَيْرَ لِبَاسِ التُّقَى تَجَرَّدَ عُرْيَانًا وَإِنْ كَانَ كَاسِيًا. If a man adorn himself with an adornment, with a garment other than the garment of piety, he will remain naked even though he is what? Clothed. So we ask Allah the Almighty to adorn us with the garment of piety. Ameen. And to make us amongst those who make the fear of Allah the Almighty their provision to the hereafter. Ameen. So Allah the Almighty says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى وَاتَّقُونِ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Then He said, and fear me, O men of understanding, addressing those who are intelligent. And Allah the Almighty choose the intelligent people and address them to mention the virtue of the intelligent people, because not everyone who listens to the advice of Allah the Almighty and the recommendation of Allah the Almighty put it into practice except the people of what? Understanding. And we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst them. Ameen. Then Allah the Almighty said, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاهٌ أَن تَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ أي نفى الله الحرج عن طلب الفضل. وطلب الفضل هنا هو التجارة كما قال الله تعالى فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله فسمى التجارة فضل الله. Then Allah Almighty said, there is nothing wrong with you trading, meaning seeking from the bounty of Allah the Almighty if you go for Hajj. So if you go for Hajj, there is nothing wrong to go there with the intention of performing Hajj and with the intention of trading, meaning making business, buying and selling. So you can carry something with you from your homeland and take it to Mecca with the intention of performing Hajj and also buying and selling. And this is from the beauty of our religion and from the leniency of Islam. As a matter of fact, doing that is an act of worship, because the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever work in order to seek provision, in order to preserve his honor and the honor of his family, not to be a burden on the people and to beg people, this will be considered an act of worship and he will be rewarded for that. So Islam is saying that there is nothing wrong with us going to Hajj, performing Hajj, and also involving in what? Buying and selling. So when you go for Hajj and you see something that you know that the people of your country need it, you can buy those things and bring them with you and sell them. We ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of the religion. Ameen. ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات والعرفات سمي بعرفات كما قال إمام القرطبي لأن الحجاج يتعارفون عندها، وقال كما سمي العرفات بعرفات لأن آدم عليه الصلاة والسلام لما أهبط من السماء نزل بهند وحواء نزلت بجدة ثم تقابل بعرفات يوم عرفة بعد طول الطلب وتعارف هناك فسمي المكان بعرفات. So Arafat, Allah the Almighty said, and if you proceed to Arafat, and Arafat is a plural of the word Arafah, and Arafah is usually the day. So we call that day the day of Arafah, but the place where the Hujjaj stand, we call that place Arafat. And Arafat is from the derivative of the word al-urf wa ta'aruf, which means getting to know one another. And our scholars say the place is called Arafat because the Hujjaj, they meet there and they get to know one another, they introduce one another, and they know one another there. And Imam al-Qurtubi also mentioned that the reason why the place is called Arafat is because when Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was kicked out of Jannah, he descended in India. And Hawa, which is Eve, she descended in Jeddah. And after a long period of time, they seeking and searching for one another, they met at Arafat. And they get to know one another there. That is why the place is called Arafat, and they met there on the day of Arafat. And the virtue of the day of Arafat is known, is not hidden from us. The Prophet ﷺ said, there is no day in which doing righteous deeds is more beloved to Allah the Almighty than these days. And from among these days is the day of Arafat, which is the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and the day of Arafat is part of the day. The Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة وخير ما قلته أنا والنبيون من قبلي لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best dua is the dua of the day of Arafah. And the best phrase that I and the previous messengers before me said on the day of Arafah is La ilaha illallah, which means none has the right to be worshipped but Allah alone. Lahul mulk wa lahul hamd. His is the sovereignty and His is the praise. Yuhyi wa yumeet. He gives life and He takes away life. Wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. And He has the ability to do all things. So He's able over all things. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who follow the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. The Lord Almighty, فَإِذَا أَفَضْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عِنْدَ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ. Meaning, if you proceed from Arafat and go to Muzdalifah, and Muzdalifah is Mash'ar al-Haram, and it's called Mash'ar لأنها شعيرة من شعائر الحج. Muzdalifah is called Mash'ar because it is one of the rituals of Hajj, where the people of Hajj have to proceed to and pray Maghrib and Isha there. And it is called Al-Haram because Muzdalifah is part of the Bayt al-Haram. So any masjid that is in Muzdalifah, if you pray there, it will be written for you 100,000 reward, like you pray in the Masjid al-Haram because it is part of the Haram. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of this religion. Ameen. So Allah the Almighty said, if you proceed from Arafah to Muzdalifah, remember Allah the Almighty there a lot. فَاذْكُرُوهُ كَمَا هَدَاكُمْ وَإِن كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. remember Allah the Almighty just as He has guided you to the ritual consecration of Hajj, and just as He has guided you to following the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when before that, meaning before the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are upon clear misguidance. The reason being is because before the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people used to perform Hajj. But when they used to perform Hajj, they used to serve idols along with the call of Allah the Almighty. And they used to circumambulate the Kaaba naked and barefooted. They don't wear anything. They circumambulate the Kaaba naked. When the Prophet ﷺ came, he guided them to do what Allah the Almighty commanded us to do, and he brought the best guidance to them. So Allah the Almighty is commanding us to be grateful to Allah the Almighty for guiding us to these rituals, because before the coming of the Prophet ﷺ, the people were upon clear misguidance. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Ameen. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Khudhu anni manasikakum," meaning take from me your rituals of Hajj. And then Allah the Almighty said, ثُمَّ أَفِيدُوا مِنْ حَيْثُ أَفَاضَ النَّاسِ وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. And then if you go to Hajj, proceed along with the people where they proceeded, meaning do not isolate yourself. Our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi said, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there are some tribes who think they are better than other tribes. So they only remain at the Haram and they say, we're not going to proceed to Arafah because we are from this tribe and we are best people, so we're going to remain within the Haram. So Allah the Almighty revealed this surah, telling them, this ayah, telling them to proceed along with the people where they proceed, and do not isolate yourself and think you are better than others. Then Allah the Almighty said, "Afidu min haythu afada an-nas wastaghfirullah," and seek the forgiveness of your Lord. Inna Allaha ghafurur rahim. Indeed, He, Allah the Almighty, is oft forgiven, most merciful. Then Allah the Almighty said, وَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. And if you complete your ritual consecration of Hajj, meaning if you proceed from Mina to Arafat and pray Dhuhr and Asr day and pray to Allah the Almighty, then you proceed from Arafat to Muzdalifah, you combine Isha and Maghrib there, then you spend the night there, and then you pray Subh, Fajr there, and then you proceed to Jamarat and stone the devil. Then from there, you go to the Haram and circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times. Then you pace between the Safa and Marwa 7 times. You drink from the Ma'a Zamzam, and you pray to Allah and ask Allah the Almighty what you need. Then you slaughter your sacrificial animal, and then you shave your hair. After you finish all these ritual consecration of Hajj, Allah the Almighty said, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ. Remember Allah the Almighty by being grateful to Him and by praising Him just as you remember your parents because of the virtues that your parents have over you. Our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi said the Arab used to, whenever they finish their ritual consecration of Hajj, they will stand up and they will say, I am Fulan, the son of Fulan. My father is this, my father is that, my father is that, and they will say many good things about their fathers and what they have done for them. And there is nothing wrong with that if you are saying this to express your gratefulness to your father. However, what Allah the Almighty has done for you is more than what your dad has done for you. So Allah the Almighty did not say, do not praise your father or be grateful, or express your gratefulness for what they have done. Rather, remember Allah the Almighty just as you remember your father, أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا, even more than you remember your fathers. Because there is no virtue that will come from your father to you except that it is Allah the Almighty who has allowed that to happen. So remember Allah the Almighty more than you remember everything else. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who remember Him more. Ameen. Then Allah the Almighty said, فَاذْكُرُوا أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. Then God mentioned the categories of the people. He said, فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. He said, from among the people there are some, their dua is, oh Allah, give us the dunya. That's all that they ask from Allah. They don't care about the hereafter. They just want to be rich. They just want to have everything that they want in this dunya, but they never think about the hereafter. Allah the Almighty said, وَمَا لَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. These people do not have any portion of fortune in the hereafter. May Allah not make us amongst them. Ameen. Then the second category, and these are the intelligent people. Allah the Almighty said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And from among the people there are some who ask Allah the Almighty to grant them the good of this dunya. Our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi, he mentioned that Ibn Abbas said the good of this dunya is to be blessed with spacious house, comfortable ride, good neighbor, and pious spouse. If Allah the Almighty bless you with this, then He has given and good health. If Allah the Almighty bless you with this, then He has given you the good of this dunya. And there is hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, from the sa'ada of the believer is to be blessed with spacious house, comfortable ride, good spouse, whether it's a woman, God bless her with good husband, or a husband, God bless him with a good wife and also a good neighbor. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us that. Ameen. وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً, and to bless us in the hereafter with the good of the hereafter, which is Jannah, وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, and to grant us protection from the punishment of the hellfire. This is the best dua one can ask Allah the Almighty with. That is why Imam Ahmed narrated that a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said to him, Ya Rasulullah, inni la uhsinu dandanatak wa la dandanata Mu'adh, innama aqul Allahumma atini fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhab an-nar. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حولها ندندن. A man came to the Prophet and said, O Messenger of Allah, I am not eloquent like you and I'm not eloquent like Mu'adh. What I say in my dua is, O Allah, give me the good of this dunya and the good of the hereafter and grant me protection from the punishment of the hellfire. And the Prophet ﷺ said, it is around this phrase that we habituate our tongue with. Meaning, we habituate our tongue with these phrases. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. And he also mentioned that some people came to Anas radiallahu anhu and they said to him, Ud'u lana, O Anas, pray for us. And Anas said, ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. O Allah, give us the good of this dunya and the good of the hereafter and grant us protection from the punishment of the hellfire. فقالوا زدنا. And they said, O Anas, give us more. We want more dua. So Anas said to them, ماذا تريدون لقد سألت الله خير الدنيا والآخرة. He said, what else do you want? I have asked Allah the Almighty to give you the good of the dunya and the good of the hereafter. So what else do you want? We ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who adopt the sunnah of the Prophet by habituating our tongue with this dua, which is very easy and it's a smart dua. The Prophet ﷺ visited one of his companions who was sick, as our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi mentioned in his tafsir. And the man was very sick and he became very skinny. If you see him, you'll think that he is like he became like a chicken in his size, like our noble scholar Imam al-Qurtubi mentioned. I mean, he's very skinny. So the Prophet, when the Prophet saw him, the Prophet felt like something is not right. So the Prophet asked him, Atad'u bida'wa, do you pray to Allah the Almighty with something? He said, yeah. The Prophet said, what do you say in your prayers? He said, I am saying in my prayers, Allahumma in kunta satu'aqibuni bi'uqubatin fil akhirah fa'ajilhu li fid dunya. He said, I used to say, oh Allah, if there is a punishment that you want to punish me in the hereafter, hasten the punishment on me here in this dunya. So the Prophet said, Subhanallah, innaka la tutiqu. The Prophet said, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. When he disliked something, that is what he said. He said, you cannot bear it. Why don't you say, instead of saying this, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ? Why ask Allah the Almighty the good of the dunya and the good of the hereafter and seek protection from the punishment of the hellfire? Why asking Allah to hasten the punishment that He prepared for you in the hereafter? You cannot bear it. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those intelligent people who follow the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم والتائب من الذنب كمن لا ذنب له ادعوا الله يستجب لكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, thumma salatu wa salamu ala ibadihi alladhina istafa wa ba'd. After giving thanks and praises to Allah the Almighty and sending peace and salutation to the seal of the messengers Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family members, his companions, and whoever follow their footsteps to the day of judgment and to proceed. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, our noble brother Tanzil, he is still requesting from us to make dua for him, and we never get tired of making dua. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked by Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, he said, Ayyun nasi ajiz, who is the most disabled person? Qala man ajiz an dua. He said, the one who is unable to make dua is a disabled person. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who always turn to Him and raise the palm of humbleness and make dua for Him and to Him. Ameen. And also our noble brother Hussein is also requesting dua from us. We ask Allah the Almighty to grant them shifa. We ask Allah the Almighty to return them back to their family and take them out of the hospital. Ameen. And to return them back to their works. There are many people who are with us here who are also sick. But this is something that we will be tested with. Not even the prophets were immune from it. Our noble scholar Ibn Abi Dunya mentioned in his book Kitab al-Marad wal-Kaffarat, the book of sickness and expiation. He mentioned the hadith of Osama bin Zayd, who said, دخلنا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو موعوق وعكا شديدا. He said, we entered upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was severely sick. So we said, Ya Rasulullah bi abaina wa ummahatina ma ashaddu wa'kik. We said, and this is the phrase that they say to express their empathy, like they feel the pains that the Prophet is feeling. So they said, O Messenger of Allah, severe indeed is your sickness. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to them, نحن معاشر الأنبياء يضاعف علينا البلاء تضعيفا. He said, we, the group of the prophets, when we are tested, our test is what? Is double. فَقُلْنَا سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ. So we said, glory be to Allah. And the Prophet said, أَوَعَجَبِتُمْ, are you amazed? إِنَّ أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ بَلَاءً الْأَنْبِيَاء ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلِ ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلِ. They said, indeed, the people who go through the severe test from the people are the Anbiya. Meaning those who go the severe test from the people are the prophets. Then the closest one from the people to their path, then the closest one from the people to their path. So we said, Subhanallah, we said, glory be to Allah. And the Prophet said, Awa ajabitum in kana an-nabiyyu la yusibuhu al-kummal hatta yaqtula. He said, sometimes a prophet will be inflicted by a lice, and he will suffer from it until he will die through it. And then we said, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. And the Prophet said, are you amazed? They, the messengers and the prophets, they are pleased with the test of Allah the Almighty, just as we are pleased with ease. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who understand this. Ameen. So if you are tested with sickness, remember that Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam, his sickness is more severe than yours. If you are tested with poverty, remember Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. If you are tested with losing a loved one, remember that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he lost his father before he was born, and his mother when he was 6 years old, and his grandfather when he was 8 years old. He lost the loved ones when he was very young. And if you are tested with losing your children, the Prophet lost almost all of his children except who? Fatima, who was alive after he died. And if you are tested with losing your children, meaning going astray, one of your child go astray, remember Nuhu alayhi salatu wasalam. He's a prophet, but his son went astray. You cannot say that, oh, it's because I'm a bad person. It's not always like that. Sometimes you get tested. And if you are tested with your husband going astray, remember the best woman on the face of this earth, Asiya. The Prophet ﷺ said, Asiya is one of the best women. Khadija, one of the best women. But Asiya, who is her husband? Fir'aun, the worst person under the surface of the sky, who claimed that Ana Rabbukumul A'la. And if you are tested with your wife going astray, remember Nuh and Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. You are not better than these people. So there is no space in this life in test, except that we have example in those who are better than us. All that you have to be concerned is my Lord pleased with me? If Allah the Almighty is pleased with you, then do not worry about whatever happens to you. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his statement after he underwent these tests. إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ بِكَ سَخَطٌ عَلَيَّ فَلَا أُبَالِي. The Prophet said, as long as, oh Allah, as long as you are not angry at me, whatever tests I am going through, I do not care. All that I seek is your what? Is your pleasure. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who understand us, Ameen. And to make us among those who are patient when they are tested, Ameen. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف أخانا تزيل. اللهم اشف أخانا حسين. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تشفيهم. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيهم. 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 اللهم هذا الدعاء ومنك الإجابة وهذا الجهد وعليك التكلان. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. قوم إلى صلاتكم.